So a new zero counterplay strategy has hit the Rift, and it has been shown to us by Genji, Chovy, the MSI champions, and in this case it's situated on mid lane. So lately there's been a lot of AD mid champions that have been terrorizing the lane, such as in the Tristana, as in the Corki, but also every once in a while you see some of the pros practice Lucian. And there's a new strategy given those champions, and it's very lame in a way. So I'm going to be explaining to you guys what the strategy is, why it is so unbelievably good, and why it almost has zero counterplay for a lot of mid champions. So it all revolves around the strategy of the War of Attrition and about a rune called Jack of All Trades. So Jack of All Trades is one of the new runes added in this mid-season update, and it is a rune that gives you adaptive force and ability haste based upon how many different kind of stats that you buy. So what you'll actually see is that these AD mid lane champions, they don't necessarily need attack speed in their build buff, so they don't necessarily need Berserker Greaves, and they actually can go Mercury Threads, Plated Steel Caps, and what this does, Dorans plus that specific boots of choice, depending on what kind of champion that you're playing against, actually gives you 5 stacks on Jack of All Trades. And that's enough for you to get the initial adaptive force and, of course, 5 ability haste, which is a lot of stats. So what's actually going on is that you built your first item, which is going to be the boots, to counter the enemy laner, so to prevent their damage. And then with all of the sustain that you have in the kit, with Fleet Footwork, Absorb Life, Doran's Blade, and now also the defensive boots, you're actually going to be just raw stat checking the enemy laner, and you're just going to be using raw stats to win your lane. Because what's going to happen with these AD champions, they're just going to be pushing mid and just going to get priority because they beat you in the trades, and they always have the ability to pull the trigger and get these trades on top of you. Corki W, Tristana W, get on top of you, stat check you, and then start healing up with the setup that they took, winning the War of Attrition. In this specific game, what's happening is because Chovy's playing this War of Attrition style into the Taliyah, he's winning the trades, and suddenly, because he's got so much lane control, of course Chovy's already good CSer, but he's just now up 15, eventually 20 CS, and he's just increasing the gap because he's the one in control. He's the one that wins the trades. And look at the damage that he does without a single damage item. It's all because of the adaptive force that the Jack of All Trades rune gives to Chovy. So if we're really going to be looking at a different VOD right here, we see this in one of AJ's VODs. He's one of the coaches from the MLA as well. And we talked about this. He's done some research into this subject as well. And what we really see is that it's just kind of unfair, because it's just incredibly hard for the enemy laner to play. In this case, AJ gets the reset on play the steel caps plus refillable potion. Look at Tristana, has the Vamp Scepter. You think, okay, maybe Tristana wins the War of Attrition. You're wrong. That's not the case, because in this case, AJ actually just wins the trades against the Tristana because of how much stats that this plated steel caps item gives him. And that's something that we're going to be seeing right here, that Tristana is actually forced off the wave because of the fact that AJ is outstatting her, always threatening her to go in. And it's probably best used on Corki, because Corki also goes Trinity Force. Corki also loves the inspiration tree in either the biscuits or the cashback. And just really good at playing the War of Attrition. So it's very hard for a lot of these mages to play against this raw damage, and also the wave clear advantage that most mages have. In this case, we're not really playing against the mage, but against the other AD champion. But in this case of Chovy, what you see is that Taliyah is one of the highest wave clear champions in the game, and they just get raw stat checked and out wave cleared by these AD mids because of the fact that they can just constantly out attack the wave. And it's really insane the amount of value that rune gives, and they just start stat checking you, they just start beating you, and you're just gonna drop very far behind, and it's very hard to do anything against it, because the biggest issue is that they're gonna have constant mid prio. And what can you do with constant mid prio? You can be first at all the plays on the map, you can be calling for the objectives, set up vision control around mid lane. Having mid lane priority is incredibly strong, and you can see how if you guys want to watch this, right, Genji versus Fox, really recommend doing that. You can see how Genji abuses the fact that Chovy just has control and uses that control to basically take over the game with it and build an incredible lead. So very strong strategy. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Also drop AJ's links in the YouTube section underneath the video. So feel free to check those out and support him as well. And otherwise, I'll be seeing you guys real soon for the next video.